Thank you for joining me for the Vampire Talk Show. I'm your host, Valaine. My roommate discovered my coffin under the concrete floor of the basement in her new house and woke me up from a 100-year nap. Now, I'm reconnecting with old friends, making new ones, and of course, making a podcast. So recently, I had the unique opportunity to try a frozen yogurt for the first time. As a vampire, I cannot ingest human foods, but here's something you don't know. When vampires feed, they can taste the last thing their victim ate. Think of it as stuffed lobster or turducken. Anyway, I was curious about what my producer calls froyo. So I hung around a shop and then glamored a lone woman into following me to the alleyway. Imagine my surprise when I started to insanguinate this lady and I taste a flavor called birthday cake. I never had a cake that tasted as foul as birthday cake flavor. If you want cake, eat cake. If you want frozen yogurt, get a frozen yogurt flavor. Whatever that may be. And apparently birthday cake flavor is quite popular in other foods. Like cookies. Cookies? It's chocolate chip or bust, darling. Also, why is birthday cake flavor always a vanilla or yellow cake flavor? I always prefer chocolate cake for my birthday. Well, at least chocolate flavored blood for my birthday. Oh, and don't worry about my victim, Froyo Freya. I didn't kill any humans. I hypnotized them, feed a little bit, and they sleep it off. Think of it as a vampiric charcuterie. A nibble here, a nosh there, and maybe a combo of salty and sweet. I'll feed on maybe 6 people a night, 10 if it's a full moon and in my feels. Is that how you say it, Allie? In your feels? Like when you're having a bad day and you go through a half a pint of fudge ripple, instead of feeling better, you just cry while watching Pretty in Pink for the umpteenth time? Why are you looking at me like that? Anyway, on with the show, and I will stop ranting and raving about birthday cake flavor. I guess I'll try froyo again at some point. It just won't be birthday cake flavor. Tonight, my guest. The Greeks called him Skigaros. The Norse called him Ratatoskr. But in Michigan and all parts North American, he's known as Squirrel Man.
Hey, glad to be here.
Thank you, Squirrel Man, for being here. I appreciate it. So, Squirrel Man, how are you known so far and wide? I do apologize. You seem familiar to me. However, maybe you can tell me about a time we met.
I'm sure we've met many times. I gotta go sometimes.
Oh, okay. Oh,
That's just the way it is. I gotta go. There's a noise or a sound, and then I gotta go. So I'm sure we've run into each other. I have been around on the planet for the 33 million years, long before humans were wandering the earth. So yeah, I didn't have to run around so fast then.
Oh my goodness. Well, you're much older than me, so I'm so glad that you are taking the time to be here. Squirrel Man, have you had froyo before?
Oh, I've eaten all sorts of trash from all over. I've indulged in yogurt, froyo, the cups that froyo has been inside of, the cones of yogurt, anything you can imagine, I've eaten.
Oh, fantastic. And you seem so. I'm sorry. You seem very small to me. Like you look like a squirrel.
I can change my size, sure. Yeah,
Oh,
I can
you
get
change
bigger.
your
You want to see
size?
me get bigger? Boom!
Yeah.
Now I'm bigger.
Oh
Okay,
my
now I'm
goodness.
at.
Okay, not that big.
Now I'm small. Now I'm small again.
Okay, well that's good. Thank you, because this is a very small studio. I'd rather not your head go right through the roof. Oh my goodness. Wow, you have so many. What other kinds of powers do you have? So you can talk and you can change your size.
Oh yeah, I'm one of the original psychopomps. Like I don't think a lot of people realize that. Once humans came around and started messing things up and having to deal with the other worlds, I'm the kind of original Hermes. I used to run back and forth. You were talking about the Norse earlier. If you read Norse mythology, I used to run up and down the tree of life, delivering messages to Odin and the underworld below.
Oh, how is Odin?
Uh, always very grumpy.
I got that sense from him. I mean, I suppose I'd be grumpy too if I only had one eye and, a plethora of offspring that didn't listen to me. So,
Now, as a squirrel man, it's weird to even be called Squirrel Man because I'm really not a man or a woman. I'm a squirrel being, but, I understand people do that. Mothman, Squirrel Man, Frog Man. I get it. We're not all men.
I mean, you could be squirrel them if you wanted.
Ooh, I could be Squirrel Them. I think that we've reached an era where I can be Squirrel Them now. That's
Yes.
a good point. But many squirrels have one eye or one paw or have lost a leg, and we're not as grumpy as Odin. We're not as grumpy as these big manifestation old men gods that really need to go by the wayside. Odin should be of them too.
Yes. No, I totally agree. And, you seem very upbeat and very chipper. So, yes, I would imagine that you wouldn't keep company with Odin too often. Um, Squirrel Man or them, or however you identify now, in this day and age, uh, are you working on anything, any sort of projects or anything that you want to talk about?
Oh, it's really hard to keep track of all of the things I'm doing because, have you ever seen my brethren in the neighborhoods that you live in? We are everywhere. We cover everything. We're in everyone's backyard. We're on everyone's roof. We're on everyone's chimney. We're in everyone's garbage. I don't think people realize how much squirrels in general know because we're reading most of your trash as we're eating most of your trash. So we have a ton going on all of the time. Currently, right now, I'm getting ready for the end of the year wire walking festival. All of the squirrels all over the world gather and we run across the power lines as fast as possible and see who can do it the best and the fastest without falling into the road and being hit by a car.
Oh my goodness, that sounds harrowing. And you do this every year.
Every year, squirrels and the way that we interact with other people, we're in and out. Like I said, when I first met you, it was probably just dashing about a lawn somewhere, or you had dropped a peanut or a potato chip or a piece of pizza. Again, we don't really discriminate against the food that we can eat, but we do it every year. We have the wire walking contest. We also have the roof jumping contest. We go from roof to roof all around a neighborhood. A lot of people don't realize when I say all of the squirrels in the world, I mean all 30 of us. There are only 30 squirrels in the whole world. It's just we are very fast.
Oh my goodness, I had no idea. So yes, I've probably seen you dangling from the bird feeder out in Allie's backyard. And actually, hmm, uh, what about the black squirrels? Are are they different than the regular squirrels? Because I've seen black squirrels scurrying about, and I have only seen one recently, and I did not know that they existed.
No, that's still there's still just the 30 of us, but we've really probably since the 1970s, many of us have caught on to the goth phase, and so we'll just switch our fur. Someone threw away a Bauhaus cassette tape in the 80s, and it got into the hands of the squirrels. And listen, we just were off and running. All of a sudden, we just change ourselves to black squirrels, and we just take over the neighborhoods. And then but then it comes back around, and it's just like changing clothes. It's just putting on a cloak or a cape for us. We again, we have access to makeup because it gets thrown away so often, but you're just changing our color to black is easiest for us.
Oh, my goodness. It seems like you're having a hard time just sitting there. It's like you're vibrating. Is movement part of your survival?
To part of our survival, it's part of passing the messages back and forth between. That's the other thing too. There's a lot of dead people that have messages, and squirrels are trying to. We're leaving little bottle caps and pieces of glass all over the planet as messages from the dearly departed. A lot of people don't know a lot of people shoot at us when we're really just trying to lay down. Grandma will say, "Oh, you got to go drop a button off at this person's house," and then we go and we drop a button off, and then somebody yells at us, and we run away. So we're trying to do something. I just wish people would be nice to us. But yes. Wait a second. Let me just. Oh, squirrels
Oh,
and Squirrel Man, them's, we don't really get to breathe that often. It's very nice to. How old are you exactly?
oh, I've lost count. I'm somewhere around 500 or 600 years old, but I've been sleeping for the last 100 years, and I can tell you, I feel very refreshed. So taking a breath might actually do you some good.
I feel like it has. That's so you were in a deep hibernation. That's something that squirrels can do, but we often don't. I think that, oh, this is nice to have a nice little hibernation
Mm.
speaking mode instead of being so fast. Plus, currently the tree that I'm living in, it has made it harder for cars to hit me. So I've been slowing down, I think, in my old age. Now that I'm, popping near 34 million years old, I should start to slow down.
I should think so. And, taking time for yourself. If you're so busy passing messages here and there, to and fro, I mean, what do you do for self care?
Though there's a lot of, so a lot of it is grooming. There's a lot of picking bugs out of my hair. Um, I don't think people realize. So you mentioned very early on that the Greeks would call us the Skyros or the Skyros or the Skiaos. There are many different names. Greek is hard to pronounce, and plus nobody really speaks it anymore. But it meant shadow tail. Most of my day is just spent bending my tail up in a weird curly Q behind me and keeping the sun off my face.
Oh, that sounds so adorable. And may I say, without overstepping any bounds, you are very cute. Like, that little tuft of hair on the very top of your head, like, it's just adorable. And I'm not trying to infantilize you. I'm just saying, I appreciate your overall aesthetic.
As a vampire, I thought that you would be more fascinated with my cousins, the flying squirrels. They do tend to look a lot like bats.
Oh, I didn't know you were related.
Oh, yeah. There's about 12 of them. There are about 12 of the 30 squirrels that exist in the whole world are flying squirrels. They don't technically fly; they're just gliders. But they get very self-concerned because all of us non-flying squirrels, we don't have this big chubby leftover skin that hangs off of our arms. But then again, we can only run on power lines where they can glide gracefully through the trees.
Very true, very true. I do love a good, like, scurrying squirrel. I will say, I have seen squirrels walk slowly, and it is one of the most uncomfortable things I've seen. It's almost like it is uncomfortable for them to walk so slowly. And I don't know. It just looked weird to me.
It's weird for me to be speaking this slowly, so I do agree. I've seen other squirrels walking slowly, and it's somewhat disconcerting to me. But you know, uh, as I think I am the oldest of all squirrels and squirrel thems, uh, I think my favorite is maybe the younger, not millions of year old squirrels are taking life a little slower than us older ones.
hmm
As a vampire, do vampires slow down with age, or is it just dependent upon who you're drinking?
It's all a matter of blood energy, really. If we take a break from feeding, we can slow down, and we tend to get a little bit older physically. Um, I will tell you, during my 100-year nap, I was a sight to see after so long. My poor producer, Allie, who discovered me in her basement, she was terrified. She thought she had found a mummy. Might as well have been one. Um, and then I actually ate her steak dinner that night. Now she's a vegetarian, but she used to eat steak. And then suddenly, whew, it was like better than Pond's face cream. It was just I was right back to where I was at the ripe old age of 26.
Now, the steak dinner that you mentioned, that was something on a plate?
Um, yes, actually. So
It wasn't
I
something that had been thrown in a dumpster or in a trash
no,
can.
no, no, no. This was like fresh from the grocery store. Grocery store, yes. Apparently, people go to the grocery store now instead of the butcher. Whatever.
Well, I've heard of grocery stores, but usually most of us eat from the dumpsters in the back of the grocery stores.
Mm.
When a squirrel finds food on a plate, it's slightly disconcerting to us. People have tried to
Oh.
poison us. We appreciate people trying to make us feel like we're having a cute little dinner, but we're mostly used to eating, the garbage that people leave on their back decks and porches and front lawns.
Hmm. So anything wrapped in a newspaper might be appetizing to you.
Ooh, if it was wrapped in a newspaper and it was soaking in some old grease from behind a Thai food restaurant, absolutely.
Yes. That sounds fantastic if for a squirrel. um, in terms of your messages and stuff, I used to be a gossip columnist. Um, any juicy tidbits of information you've ever carried?
It is interesting because the dearly departed, in some cases, aren't so dearly departed, and they do have a lot of gossip that they want to send back and forth from the nether world to the living world. We try and kind of soften the blow to people. If a grandmother or grandfather tells someone they're an asshole or a dickhead, we try and just kind of leave a message behind that says, "Hey, they were thinking about you," but we don't really pass along the message that you were an asshole to them, or they thought you were an asshole. But when it comes to gossip, Elvis is still alive. A lot of people don't recognize that. That's something that we pass. We have some
Who?
secrets in the
Who is
Elvis.
this?
Elvis
Elvis.
Presley. Elvis Presley. He was a big singer in the
Oh.
1950s and supposedly died in the 1970s. But he actually is alive. He's living right now in just outside of Detroit. And
Hmm.
that's one of we have squirrel secrets that we keep like that. UFOs. We've been really active in the UFO scene, keeping that under wraps from people.
Oh, yes, yes. Yes. Um, Unfortunately, I'm blowing everybody up by having aliens and cryptids and ghosts on my podcast here. Um, so sorry to blow squirrel secrets. Hopefully I won't be attacked someday by a band of squirrels after recording with, say, I don't know, Lily Andromeda from Sector 72. Um,
No, I don't think that a squirrel has ever attacked a vampire, actually. I don't know if it's maybe we're afraid of becoming vampires ourselves. We like to be out in the day.
Yes, yeah, I do miss sunshine occasionally. I like watching it on television. Uh, and on YouTube, is that what it's? Yes, YouTube. Watching sunrises on YouTube, just fascinating. Um, and actually, so the thought of vampire squirrels is fascinating. So there's never been a vampire squirrel.
Not as far as I know, and I've been around for 33 million years. And I think if we became vampires, if squirrels became vampires, we already are very long lived, obviously.
Mhm.
Um, and I don't know what the benefits of us being. I mean, we'd only be able to drink blood, I suppose, right? That's all vampires drink.
Yes, I assume so.
Yeah, so we'd be missing out on acorns and garbage food that we find all over the place.
Yes, and bird seed, much to the chagrin of my producer. Um,
Those spinning things that you were talking about, I'm telling you, after 33 million years, this is a real insult to squirrels. We are very quick, we're very agile, we move almost just like the ballet. And now these things have started around. I've seen other friends of mine just spinning endlessly on these birdseed containers. I have to wonder, what are people doing to us? We are a noble race.
Honestly, I think if you have any enemies, they might be the ones that actually made the birdseed feeders in order to capture, humiliate you in that
I,
way.
I wonder if there is a big birdseed conspiracy going on right now to kind of rid the world of the 30 squirrels that exist. This is something maybe you could look into, and you could dig into some gossip and find out some secrets and see if Big Bird Seed is trying to take out all the squirrels. This is something that's all of a sudden, this is very disnerving to me. I've become very nervous again. I've stopped.
Oh no, don't be so nervous.
I
No.
never know when I jump on something now. I just have I can't. Trees swing around in a circle now? I don't know what's going to happen. It was no.
Oh, and I would love to help you with the bird seed thing, but I have to stay away from seeds, unfortunately. Otherwise, I start counting them, and I just can't stop. Um,
is that
so
a thing?
yes, vampires. If you have any sort of like, this is a tip for anybody out there. If you have a problem with vampires in your neighborhood, uh, if you sprinkle seeds around your windows and your doors and that sort of thing, vampires cannot help but count them. And then they lose count because we are notoriously horrible at math. So we will be counting and we'll get to, 62 and it's like 52, or was it 62? And then boom, we have to restart over.
Well,
So,
I see this as an opportunity for squirrels and vampires to unite. People throwing birdseed on the in front of their doors. I am all too willing to eat all of that birdseed. Can you get into the house after the birdseed has been spread on the deck?
absolutely. Okay, so yes, I think we need to unite squirrels and vampires. If a vampire needs to gain entrance, I think we need to have a squirrel come and help us gain entrance into, you know, a source of food usually.
And then you have access to all the garbages in the house.
Perfect. It's a win-win. Yes. We'll just dump the garbage outside the window. We'll feed, and oh my goodness, we are going to get so fat. And I love it. I love it. Feast and no famine whatsoever. That is fantastic. I think we need to start a group chat.
This is hard to do. It's very uncommon for squirrels to be using the internet. Uh, our paws are very small. We do tend to be fairly quick. This is one of the reasons that squirrels like TikTok so much. It's one of those things where it's a TikTok. It's just like 5 seconds, 5 seconds, 5 seconds, 5 seconds. We can look at everything and then we go. But if it's not TikTok, like we're really not. So maybe a TikTok vampire squirrel network, maybe on TikTok.
Absolutely. I think that's a brilliant idea. I've just started getting into TikTok. I'm still getting used to little computers in your hand and your phone, and it's very scary out here. I do miss the 20s, but TikTok is very interesting, and I've already stumbled upon vampire talk, and let me tell you, it is really weird. They mm,
I don't know if there's a squirrel talk on it. There are people who every now and then show nuts. One of the things that is disconcerting to a lot of squirrels who are looking at TikTok is it seems like the TikTok itself is filled with terrible people. So as we're scrolling through TikTok, we're like, ooh, that's an acorn. Ooh, someone dropped a whole bunch of dried corn on the ground. Ooh, someone threw popcorn out the window of their car. That stuff is very interesting to us. And then all of a sudden, there are just terrible people who are horrible, and they're taking real good garbage food and making giant garbage pies out of them, where they'll dump like, this is the most delicious casserole you'll ever have. Now you'd think a squirrel would be into a casserole that's made out of Cheetos and grilled cheese sandwiches with a bunch of hot sauce dumped on the top of it, but that's not really how we want our food. We want our food kind of just singularly thrown away and dumped in the garbage.
I don't blame you. I say keep it simple, you know? Yeah, no, the people on TikTok are terrible. But it is good for researching for future meals, perhaps. Um, so the opposite for me, really. Um, oh my goodness. Well, my friend, who I've met but not met. I'm so glad we had to chat today. And I am very much looking forward to bringing the squirrels and vampires together so we can work together for bigger waistlines. I'm here for it.
This is a win-win situation. The fact that people are throwing seeds to keep you away, and the fact that we want to be eating the seeds that people are throwing away, this is only good for all of us. I really feel like finally, after all these centuries, vampires and squirrels can come together and really make a difference in this world. We can get rid of maybe some of the terrible people in TikTok. Maybe you can find those people making those horrible pies and cakes, and everybody benefits from it.
I mean, I usually don't insanguinate to the point of death, but some of those people, I believe, deserve it. So I think we can do that.
And also, with my Black Squirrel brethren, I assume that you have heard of some of these gothic bands from the '80s, Bauhaus, and some of these scary, spooky bands. Have you heard some of these gothic bands?
I have actually been introduced to goth culture because my producer Allie is a gothic, and she, wears the black. She listens to Bauhaus. She wears torn up T-shirts and dyes her hair black. And yes, so I live with a goth at the moment, and goth culture is very interesting because it actually seems like vampire LARPing to me. Have you heard of LARPing? LARPing is a thing as well. Yes. Yes.
People tend to LARP as squirrels too, but that's a whole other thing where they're doing it just to have sex with each other. Where people dress up in big costumes as squirrels and run around hotels, that is also disconcerting to us because we're actually very small, and so sometimes squirrels will get into these hotels and to see a giant squirrel and be like, oh, who's that over there, and then just realize that it's someone LARPing as a giant squirrel, and we immediately have to run out of the building. It's hard for squirrels to run out of a building too. Once we get inside, it's very hard for us to find the door out.
I imagine so. Being so small, but then you can also grow in. Have you ever grown in size in front of a human?
Oh no, I would never do that.
Okay.
I think that human beings already have problems with squirrels, just in the sense that I was talking earlier of wanting to kind of shoot us and those fucking spinny things with the bird. And so I think seeing a giant squirrel would just be a little too much for human beings to handle.
I think so too. They are so sensitive, aren't they?
They really are.
Ah, poor things. I don't know how they survive. It's incredible. Well, thank you, Squirrel them. I really
I'm
appreciate
really
you
going to
taking the
embrace the
show.
squirrel. I'm really going to embrace the squirrel them. We're finally to a point where I can be a squirrel them.
Absolutely. I will help spread the word. So, my friend, Squirrel them, thank you for being on the show. We're going to take a break, and then I'm going to get in some headlines.
You don't have any peanuts, do you?
All right, kitties, it's time for headlines. These headlines are not your typical boring human headlines. Uh, it's cryptid and paranormal headlines and gossip, so it's news to you, human. The Mothman was sighted at an upscale restaurant in Monsters Row in the subdimension of Soho recently and was reportedly stepping out with another familiar face, the Jersey Devil. A wonderfully winged boys' night quickly turned to a brawl when Mothman and Devil got into a pissing contest. A literal pissing contest. Cryptids, you can take the cryptid out of the wilderness, but you can't take the wilderness out of them. Meaning you can't take cryptids anywhere. Both rock star status cryptids were arrested out behind the building of the restaurant for public urination. Apparently, both were flying and trying to see who could hit a shot glass that was placed on the ground. Let me tell you, I've met my fair share of celebrity cryptids, and I can say without a doubt, fame changes a person. Or beast. Or monster. Or, well, you get it. What do you think about all this?
I'm really interested in the fact that squirrel people never get invited to these parties. We're all around. Like I said, we're very fast. We can go anywhere. And you have these cryptids. You have Jersey Devil meeting up with Mothman, and I mean, why not have Squirrel there? I mean, we can run around. We can keep the police off of you. You know, I jump on a police officer. I mean, that's over. You're not getting arrested. He's gonna spend the next 20 minutes trying to get me off his shoulders, and then I'm gone. I can just escape into the underbrush, and then we meet up later.
Absolutely. That actually sounds like you need to be on speed dial for all the wild cryptids out there that don't know how to behave themselves in polite society. Well, I think that does it for the Vampire Talk Show. Thank you again to Squirrel Them for being on the show. Thank you, dear listeners, for listening to the show. And remember, embrace the dark, the strange, and unusual. It just may embrace you back. Thank you to John Tenney for being our guest today. You can find him at the What's Up Weirdo podcast, wherever you get your podcasts, and at weirdlectures.com. This has been an Opus Nox Media production. Learn more at opusnoxmedia.com.